Good evening once again. It's TJ in the Imaginary Gallery. Tonight is another topic on the gut feeling. You really need to learn to trust this gut feeling of which you were blessed with from birth. Because I've had it throughout my life, I've put it to the test on many occasions, and guess what? Even though it may not have been apparent at first, eventually it checked out. Because you've got these gaslighters out there, you've got these manipulators out there. So if you encounter one of them and your gut feeling sends off an alarm bell and you say, hey, what you just said sounds like an alarm bell, something's wrong, these people, these narcopathic people, will tell you, oh, you're silly, oh, you're imagining, gaslight. And, of course, later on, you realize that that was a smokescreen. And I'm here to give a funny example of this, based on a real situation I went through. We all know the story that I was involved with a person for over a decade, and after it was over, because during the situation I did the same thing most people do when they're in a relationship of any kind. They sometimes notice flaws or problems, and they think to themselves, maybe I've picked the wrong partner. But then their other voice silences that, saying, look, the grass is always going to be greener. So you learn to accept and adapt and just think, you know what, if I switch from here and go there, it's going to be the same thing. So you learn to accept. It's like, okay, well, you can't have it all, you can't have perfection, but there are certain things that go on that still tell you this person doesn't seem like he or she is ideal. Well, I was going through all that. But anyway, after it was all over, and the other person made the decision for me to say vacate, because he had found some young, newer model delinquent to take over. Well, I was on my own. But after this experience and all the time involved, I had a chance to look at these long-term relationships, especially with two guys. Come on now. How do you think that's going to work without fakery and lies? But shortly afterwards, I met another person, and of course I have learned now, but didn't know then. I met the new person, and after maybe 2 or 3 encounters, I actually thought I'd be the good person and just lay it out on the table. And I'd say, look, you know what? You and I have been hanging out, we've been having fun, but let me tell you. Because again, I thought this was the right thing to do, which it's the wrong thing. This is for you, because you may fall into the same trap and you don't want to. But I was basically devastated from whatever I went through at that time. And so I was just interested in casual fun. You know what? After you've been with the same person for over a decade and you're released, well, the last thing you want to do is jump right back into a cage with some other person you just met. So I'd met, though, somebody who obviously was possessing narcopathic traits and saw me as the perfect target because what? Because I'd been through the very type of abuse this person, we found out later, deals out regularly. So, and again, back then I had no idea that, I figured if I tell somebody, you know what, I went through this, this, and this, that the last thing they would do is pull me right back into this, this, and this. But no, take it from me. If you tell them you went through this, this, and this, they see you as prime target. For many reasons. Their insurance policy, because when you start to notice they're doing what the last one did, they can just tell you, oh, honey, you're thinking about your ex. I'm not like that, even though the behaviors are identical. Well, I met such a person who was desperate to prove to me that he was nothing like the ex and never would be, and in fact, he'd been through the same thing and therefore would never do such things. Well, these were these scam lines, which red flags popped up. Gut feeling was saying, you know what, this person is phony. But again, if I'd say, you're being phony, the answer would be, oh, you're being silly. That's not true. Of course, again, the gut feeling was right. But these people love to delay that from coming out. Well, one particular one I think is funny is I had the gut feeling, just, I guess I have the gift of intuition, plus what I already knew factually. This person I worked with came to my company where I worked, and here's how it worked. I'd worked at this company for 20 years. And in that 20 years, I had actually dated and messed around with 1 to 2 people total in that 20-year period. Well, this person comes here at the company, and in their first month has tricked with at least 3 or 4 people in the first month. Which my argument was you've been with more people in your first month here than I have been here. I've been with in 20 years. Well, this type of person, they're phony. It was like hanging out with me regularly, and then all of a sudden switched masks, and all of a sudden it said, I want to be in a relationship with you. I want to be with you forever. And I think, what are you talking about? Because the very first time I said this was hey, by the way, in case you're a leech, because I meet so many leeches, I'm not looking for a relationship, so don't get any ideas. Well, the first encounter was, well, neither am I. I'm not looking for a relationship either. And so I figured, okay, well, you're safe then, as long as we understand that. Because so many times I've learned, you meet somebody, and after date 1, oh, I want to see you today and tomorrow. I want to talk to you every day. Oh, I want to be with you now. Oh, and it's just so fake. But this particular person I knew had a horror history, so I, again, figured it was safe. Well, the gut feeling was telling me this person is perfect for me to hang out with because it's not going to be one of those leech people. We know what's going on here. But guess what? It tried anyway. So after about 4 weeks of regular dates or whatever, after about 4 weeks it switched masks, and it's I want to be in a relationship with you. And I was what? And I finally said, wait a minute. When we met, you said you didn't want a relationship. And of course, this is where the manipulation comes in, which is, well, what would you have said if I had told you then that I did want a relationship? Which is retarded. Because basically, this person's telling me I just said what I needed to get what I wanted for the moment, and that is crooked and repulsive and disgusting. So, anyway, that's just the beginning of what happened with this thing. And throughout, it would be bringing gifts over, doing the love bombing crap, complimenting, saying all these great things that it thought I wanted to hear. And I would listen, and I'd think, you know what, this looks like a total fake act. And that was the gut feeling. And I periodically say, you know what, drop this act. What are you after? What's the deal? And of course, because one of the rules is, if you're a narcopath, never admit that a game is going on. So no matter how many angles I attacked it at to say, you're playing a game, it would always be, no, I'm not playing a game. One day you'll realize I'm not playing a game. And of course it was, and the gut feeling was right, but again, that takes a while to come out. But I just had this feeling this whole time, and it was kind of difficult to deal with, because here I was dealing with a person in person and hearing the stuff it would say, and then at the same time the brain was saying, that's phony, and this is really what the story is. And of course, anytime I try to say, you know what, I think the real story is this, it would be silenced, it would be condemned, it would be denied. So I was kind of thinking, okay, well, I don't have anything else to go on. I got my gut feelings that tell me it's a problem, but then never hear it's a problem over there from the person. So I just stuck with this, which again was wrong, because the gut feeling always wins, because it was right. But it was delayed, time lapse. It was not revealed to be accurate until way later. But anyway, things happened, and that's a whole different story as far as the details that happened. The point of all of it was all along I had that gut feeling that this person is a loose whore who is not marriage material, and I was not marriage material either because remember, I just got out of a situation like that and I wanted just to be free and have fun and not have to worry about somebody's chain around my neck telling me what to do and what not to do. And so I felt betrayed because this person pretended to be in the same mind frame I was and then changes their story from A to Z. I don't want a relationship to I do want one and I want it with you forever. Well, to me that was like so unrealistic because I already knew it was loose and dating all the coworkers, so I think, really? You really want one person? And it would say yes it did. And I'd try to challenge it. It's like, really? What happens when you get sick of that person after a few years? That would never happen. I would be in love. And it's like, you are a fool. And it was so superficial, the things it would say, because I'd actually been in a long-term relationship this monster never had, yet seemed to be an expert in long-term relationships and how great he would be in one. And I think, sorry, but you've never been in one, so take some advice. But of course, these people know more than anybody. They know more than everybody, so none of my advice or information would ever be effective. But anyway, things went here, they went there, and we'll skip all that stuff. The point was when it was finally all over, because I developed some kind of codependent tendencies. I'll tell you about myself. I'm the type of person that, let's just say like in the 80s, I really loved the way that those old box-shaped Volvos looked. I just loved the way they looked. And I was a teenager and thinking, you know what, I'd love to have that car be my car because I love the way it looks. Well, I liked the design, and I hear that they were safe, so I found one for sale. Well, I found one for sale with a perfect shape. It was maroon, it was beautiful, and guess what? I took it on, and it was the classic beautiful shape. However, it had this little flaw here with the air conditioning. The fan didn't blow, but it worked, but it didn't blow out. Oh, and let's say that it had a beautiful front, but there was one spot that had a little rust on it. So I see it as, okay, well, this has potential. It's the exact classic shape I want. It does have this flaw here. It does have that flaw there. Well, that's kind of how I felt about this person because the conversations never really matched up to reality as far as when I'd like say, yeah, I know what kind of person you are. Come on now. It would never like agree to it. It would always be, oh no, that's the past. Well, like with the car, I spent time on the person and the car, sanding off those rusty edges, repainting it, getting that air conditioner fan fixed, doing little things to make that car perfect because it had the basics, but it had some flaws. Well, that's how I felt with this person, finding out these things, and I'm the type of person, if I'm investing this much time in it, I might as well make sure that it's worth the investment. So that's what I was trying to do. Well, again, the gut feeling was saying this person is a whore, which I could understand because, again, I was out of the long term, but yet it would never speak like it was a whore. It would be, oh no, I want to be in love forever. Oh no, I want to be with you. And it didn't fit. It's like those dialogues don't fit with you so far as what I know about you. But again, it's a game, and you cannot penetrate the mask. So things progressed. They went up, they went down, and blah, blah, blah. And it finally all ended. And of course, turned out that the gut feeling wins again. But some of us still think, you know what, I did spend all that time sanding that spot. You know what, I did get that air conditioner blower fixed. You know what, let's just not abandon this because that's some flaw that I evidently have. And it's like a fixer type thing. Well, after we were through and it was over, there was a hoovering. I don't know if I probably hoovered out and said, hey, I miss you, or maybe he thought he needed something that I had, so he hoovered. Either way, I would not be told about the current events going on. But he had moved on to the next target, which I could kind of see, But anytime I'd ask, it would be, oh, that's just a friend, that's just a friend, which was a total lie, which, again, I confirmed later. But all throughout this whole period, I had this demonized file in my brain of what kind of person this was. Because to me, it just seemed like the type that would just chase after anybody and everybody at all times while pretending as well to me to be devoted. And I just had that feeling. It was like the gut was shouting what was going on. Of course, I could never get confirmation. But I had my opportunity to finally realize that payoff, gut feeling wins, because he did the no contact thing where he disappeared, but then he would like appear all of a sudden and want to get together here and there. And of course, he was also chasing after this new target and playing that game where I'm told the new target's just a friend, and the new target's told that I'm out of the picture completely. So it's like, again, compartmentalizing everything. Like, well, this is my ex. No one needs to know I'm seeing him secretly. Oh, you're the new one I want? Oh, well, you're the only one I'm after. And then the other stuff that goes on. Well, one particular night, he was going out with his niece to a bar that I would actually be at as well, and we were talking again. And he had said something like he was going out, and I just, again, the gut feeling told me, I know he's going out. He's going to go out where I'm at. And guess what? It was right. I showed up there, and there he was, standing right at the bartender I always go to. And it's like, there he is. Well, he was there with his own person, but I still talked to him. And again, it's like that car. You spent all that time sanding it and getting it ready. You don't just want to toss it aside if you're invested in your investment. But anyway, some time passed, and the person had said something like, could you give me and her a ride to this hamburger joint down the street? And I figured, oh, great, I'd be glad to. And so did it. Took him and his niece to this restaurant, dropped them off, and then went on home. So I figured, oh, wow, we had some more contact. Maybe he realizes that new bumper looks good with that rust gone or something, which, again, is completely retarded because that's not the case. But I was wishful thinking. I didn't realize yet what I was dealing with. But anyway, I got back to my home and parked the car, and lo and behold, I look in the back seat, and what do I see? I see his phone in the car seat sitting there. Now keep in mind, there's a whole bunch of backstories about the phone, which won't be mentioned here, but basically that phone was a vessel to use for all kinds of evil activities that were covered up and erased. And that's another video, another story, but I saw that phone as gold because at this point we'd been talking a little bit here and there, and I had noticed that throughout that week I had said something like, you know what, I want to see you this week. And I was told things like, let's say, I'd be told, well, I can't see you on Wednesday because whatever TV show is on. Oh, and I can't see you Thursday because another TV show is on. Oh, and I can't see you Friday either because another TV. And I thought, what are you talking about? You and I always watch TV shows together. And if anything, I've got a DVR. So it just was fictitious and phony. Well, of course, it's just more of the same. But again, these people just keep their act going. They'll keep it going forever, even after you've caught them in several flaws and scams, they still keep them coming. So I remembered that stuff about the week. It was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Can't do anything because of TV shows, when, keep in mind, in the past it would be, you want to come over on Thursday? Well, my favorite show comes on at 7, so come over at 6:55. Well, all that was absent. It was just, oh, I can't do it because of this show. And I think, okay, whatever. Well, here's the phone, and when you're dealing with a person like this, who, I might mention, after a first few weeks of seeing he had actually gone through my phone, a stranger almost, went through my phone, and I thought, you know what? Payback is a bitch. You got your phone in my car? It's mine. So I took the phone, and I was like having a field day with it because he wasn't going to tell me anything that was really going on. So I thought, well, I'll figure it out on my own. Well, guess what I discovered? And this is like every queer's nightmare. I wasn't looking for a partner, but if you are, this would be the wrong partner, because well, you'll find out. I took that phone and I opened it up and I flipped the text messages, and guess what I saw? Well, remember I said let's see each other Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday? Well, on Wednesday there was a text message to boy number 1, and it was sexual. It was like, hey, I want to come, in the back door spelled C-U-M, and obviously suggestive, and talking about their plans for the night. Well, then Thursday there was a different boy number 2, and it was similar type dialogue of, oh, I'm on my way over. Oh, I want to spend the night and do this. And then Friday, a third person, a different one. Think this is a nightmare. 3 people in 3 days because it's a whore. Even I never did that much. But I read the third one, and then the funny part was, then on Saturday there was a message from him to this other person, the one that he worked with now, and it was like this basic copycat conversation of something I had said to this person about how I'm the only one that you know that really likes you the most. I don't know why you want to see all these other guys. I don't know why you want to discard me like this. Well, he basically stole that whole conversation and was giving it to this person. So here he is, boy on Wednesday, different boy on Thursday, different boy on Friday, and then trying to tell this other one on Saturday, oh, I want to be with you. And it's so sick because clearly it's quantity. It's over quality. It's like you cannot be taken seriously. You've got 5 storylines going at the same time. Well, I was reading these messages and just thinking, this person is exactly how I thought with that gut feeling the whole time. And yet the whole time I was told it was wrong. And it was liberating to realize that this person's a mess. I was thinking, any one of those 4 or 5 people, if any of them knew about any of this, they would be scattered away, gone. So, because it's all compartmentalized, this person won't tell anyone about the others and expects each person to be like a fresh, new, blank slate. Yet, if you step back and look at the whole thing in realistic terms, this person is a mess. They're not going to settle down with anyone. They have to have action everywhere. And it just made me feel a little better to think, you know what, it's a good thing I didn't move that monster into my home, because it was sick. Because clearly there's a problem there. Clearly there's no bonding to any of these people, because there's no way you can be in a bed with boy number 1 Wednesday, boy number 2 Thursday, boy number 3 Friday, and then another one you're chasing after to marry. It's just sick. It's retarded. Yet I'm thinking, oh, a good thing I didn't fall for that nonsense. But of course later I'd mention, it's like, yeah, I've got your phone, and I'd say something like, clearly, I kind of got upset, and I said, I saw your messages, and I said, how dare you tell me we couldn't get together on Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday because of these TV shows? And the response I got was, well, you told me not to tell you if I was seeing other people. And I did say that because we hadn't talked for months, and we got together, and then he was like that night, I have a date tomorrow and the next day. And I said, thanks for telling me. Because again, I was thinking the old Volvo was worth trying to put back together, and maybe he'd strayed and then realized he made a mistake and was ready to come back and make it right. But that's not in the cards. I knew too much. Which, when you know too much, you are on the back burner, or you're just that hammer that he sets off to the side, and if he happens to need a hammer one particular day, he might recall that hammer. But again, I started to just see the whole thing for what it was and thought, you know what? This is retarded and ridiculous. Ridiculous. But anyway, it was a nice learning experience because it, again, confirmed the gut feeling, which told me this person isn't a regular person. This person has to have 5, 10 things happening at once. And beware if you're in the gay dating world, or maybe even the straight dating world. With this modern technology out there, these people do set up multiple dates. And yes, on a different note, I'd met a few online, and I'd like meet one, spend time with him for a while, and maybe see him again, and he would say things to me like this, and these are fake lines. It would be, "Oh, well, you're the only person I've ever actually met off that website." And I think, yeah, right, that's what the website's for, is to meet people. And I just can't stand when people are phony. It's like, why didn't you just say, yeah, that's what it's for, that's what I did, but I'm thinking about making a change. But no, it's this fakery of, "Oh, well, I normally don't flirt online or meet anyone. It's just you." I think, yeah, right. I'm sure you said that to the other 10. But you can't trust anybody. That's the whole point. In this day and age, there is no Jesus there, evidently, because there is no trustworthiness. People are evil and the devil and looking out for themselves, which, again, is fine if you admit to saying, yeah, I'm just looking out for myself to have fun. Great, but not when you are that way and then pretending to be devoted to some stranger and 6 others at the same time. Beware.